Picture this for a second. You're 82 years old. You wake up at 6 a.m. sharp, completely refreshed without even needing an alarm clock. You spend your day walking for miles with this boundless energy, and a cane isn't even in the picture. Sounds pretty amazing, right? Well, that is the actual everyday reality for Dr. Akira Kimura. He's a highly esteemed former internal medicine doctor at Kyoto University Hospital. And it's fascinating because, so many of his peers are unfortunately having to spend their later years in nursing facilities or relying pretty heavily on mobility aids. Dr. Kimura is just remarkably youthful. He's completely full of life. So you have to ask, why is he aging so differently? What's his secret? Well, let's dive right into this explainer because we're going to unpack the incredible and honestly completely accessible secrets behind Dr. Kimura's super aging routine. Now look, modern medicine is absolutely a marvel. I mean, we've got these incredibly complex, highly advanced solutions today. Think MRIs, gene therapies, highly customized pharmaceuticals, the whole shebang. But sometimes the absolute most powerful methods are the simplest ones. Seriously. When you look at the brain of an 80-year-old who practices just 10 minutes of meditation a day, and you compare that to an 80-year-old who doesn't, the difference is literally night and day. The brains of older adults who keep up these tiny, regular routines are incredibly youthful. And we're talking physically activated at a structural level here. It kind of blows your mind that a simple 10-minute daily habit can fundamentally preserve and rewire our cognitive health to that degree.
So how in the world did a deeply traditional Western medical expert like Dr. Kimura end up embracing such simple, ancient habits? Well, the turning point for him happened exactly 40 years ago. Back when he was 42, Dr. Kimura was this wildly ambitious, chronically overworked researcher. The guy basically sacrificed sleep for his career. And all that intense stress built up and culminated in a sudden, severe heart attack. While he was lying there in his hospital bed, forced to really take a hard look at his lifestyle, he found this profound inspiration in a quote from a 17th century Zen monk. The quote was, "Small practices create great changes." And for him, this wasn't just a nice motivational saying. Actually, scratch that, it became the ultimate wake-up call. It quite literally saved his life and laid the entire foundation for the vitality he has today.
Section 1. The Clinic of Last Resorts. Flash forward to today, and Dr. Kimura runs this very special clinic once a week in an annex of Kyoto University Hospital. But I gotta tell you, it is not your typical sterile doctor's office. Not at all. The floors are covered in traditional tatami mats, and there's beautiful calligraphy and landscape paintings hanging on the walls. It genuinely feels way more like a traditional Japanese tea room. And this space, it's a sanctuary for patients who have hit a total wall, patients who found absolutely no relief in standard modern medicine. Just to put this in perspective, consider 3 specific patients who arrived at his clinic feeling totally defeated. First, there's Yoshida. He's a 75-year-old retired architect who is just terrified by his fading memory. Then we have Mizuno, a 78-year-old former teacher suffering from chronic, completely debilitating insomnia. And finally, Takahashi, a 68-year-old corporate executive who is staring down early retirement because of dangerously high stress-induced blood pressure. Standard medications just weren't doing the trick for them anymore. Section 2. The 4 Morning Habits.
So, to help them, Dr. Kimura introduced a 10-minute morning routine that he had spent 40 years perfecting himself. He placed 4 small scrolls, each tied with a different colored thread, onto the table. It's this brilliant blend of traditional Japanese wisdom and cold, hard modern medical science. The first one, a blue scroll, contained the Koyasan breathing technique. This is a 1,200-year-old practice that he simplified for modern life. In fact, let's just do this together right now. Go ahead and close your eyes if you're in a place where you can. Okay, inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds. Now, hold that breath for 2 seconds. And slowly exhale through your mouth for 6 seconds. Doing just that for a few minutes every single morning powerfully stimulates your frontal lobe. It immediately activates your parasympathetic nervous system, and boom, your cortisol levels drop.
Okay, next up was the red scroll, and this one focused on hand shiatsu, or acupressure. You see, our hands are practically packed with nerve switches that talk directly to different parts of our brain. There's this one spot called the Gokoku point. It's located right there in the webbing between your thumb and your index finger, and it is absolutely amazing for improving cerebral blood flow. Then you have the Nikon point on the inner wrist, which acts like a master switch for relieving stress. Dr. Kimura prescribed this exact practice to Yoshida, our architect dealing with memory loss, and told him to press these points every morning while vividly imagining the texture of wood. It is a remarkably effective, physical way to stimulate those neural networks. Then we get to the third habit, written on a green scroll.
This was Nishiki stretching. We're talking about very simple movements that are specifically designed to perfectly align the spine and pump up blood flow to the digestive organs. And this is huge because modern science talks a lot these days about the gut-brain axis, that direct physical link between our intestinal health and our cognitive and emotional well-being. For Takahashi, the executive who was really struggling with high blood pressure, this stretch was exactly the ticket. It improved the blood circulation in his abdomen, which directly helped to balance his autonomic nervous system and take the strain right off his cardiovascular system. Finally, the yellow scroll revealed the Wagakoro tea ceremony. Now, don't be fooled, this is way more than just grabbing your morning coffee. It's a green tea base, carefully blended with reishi mushrooms to give the immune system a boost, and goji berries for a massive hit of antioxidants. But here's the catch. The true medicinal value isn't just in the ingredients. It's in the process. Boiling the water, pouring the tea, feeling the warmth of the cup in your hands, focusing entirely on the present moment. It taps into this beautiful Japanese philosophy called Ichigo Ichie. It's the concept of cherishing a once-in-a-lifetime encounter. Doing this simply brings the mind into a state of deep, truly restorative meditation.
Section 3. The habit curve.
Now, as great as all this sounds, adopting this seemingly perfect routine isn't always smooth sailing. About 2 weeks later, on this dreary, rainy afternoon, our 3 patients came back to the clinic looking, honestly, totally defeated. That initial burst of day one enthusiasm, it had completely faded. They weren't seeing these immediate, miraculous improvements in their memory or their sleep or their blood pressure. They were plagued by doubt and absolutely ready to quit. And, I mean, you've probably experienced this yourself, right? You start a new habit, you're super motivated, but by week 2, you hit this massive wall and think, is this even working? It's the classic habit dip. When the results aren't immediately visible, all that effort just feels like a waste. But here's the secret. Surviving that exact dip is what determines your success by week 6.
To comfort his struggling patients, Dr. Kimura shared this brilliant metaphor. He told them, listen, a habit is just like a pine seed. You don't plant a seed and then wake up the very next morning expecting a massive tree to have burst out of the soil. Even when it looks like absolutely nothing is happening on the surface, massive structural growth is occurring underground. Invisible, physiological changes are already taking place in your body and in your brain. And that is exactly why you have to trust the process. You have to push through that crucial 4-week challenge before those results finally break the surface.
Section 4. The power of Ikigai. But Dr. Kimura knew something else. He knew that these physical habits alone weren't going to stick over the long haul without one absolutely crucial psychological secret ingredient. He had to introduce a profound ancient Japanese concept to anchor their new routines, Ikigai. If you translate it simply, Ikigai is your reason to wake up in the morning. It's your life's core purpose. Because let's be real, doing breathing exercises just to live a bit longer, that's not enough motivation for most of us. You need a driving force. For Yoshida, his Ikigai was this deep, burning desire to craft beautiful wooden furniture one last time. For Mizuno, it was finding the energy to teach calligraphy to the local kids. Having a powerful life purpose is what actually breathes life into those 10 minutes every single morning.
Section 5. The 6-week transformation.
Fast forward to week 6. It's a bright, crisp, snowy morning in Kyoto, and when those 3 patients walked through the clinic doors, they were completely transformed. I mean, their faces were just full of vitality. The results were astounding. Through his daily shiatsu acupressure, Yoshida incredibly managed to recall this complex woodworking design from 40 years ago, and he was already back to building it. Mizuno, by diligently practicing that koyasan breathing, was finally sleeping deeply through the night, and she found immense joy in teaching her calligraphy classes again. And Takahashi, his absolute commitment to the nishishiki stretching totally paid off. His blood pressure dropped a massive 20 points, down to a really healthy 135/85. That drop was enough for him to bypass retirement altogether and become an energetic mentor for a new startup.
So Dr. Kimura's 10-minute routine didn't just improve their physical metrics, it quite literally handed them back their purpose. Those small practices created monumental changes. And that really brings us to the most important takeaway from all of us. As you sit here and think about maybe implementing these 10 minutes of breathing, stretching, and mindfulness into your own mornings, I want to leave you with one absolutely vital question to ponder today. What is your Ikigai? What is the core reason you want to jump out of bed tomorrow morning? Because I promise you, once you define that, your morning routine stops being just another chore, and it transforms into the ultimate weapon to change your life.